Good day, students. It's Meshefula Dama here. I'm here to present the examination-based presentation for 2019, April, August, and the supplementary that takes place in November 2019. On the first slides, you can see my name there, my contact details, which is my cell phone number, and I will go over it. It's 081-24-290-74. I repeat, my cell phone number, where you can contact me when you get stuck, while you are working on your assignments or when you are preparing for your examinations. My cell phone number is, as you can see on the slides, 081-24-290-74. I just want to welcome you to this study course for Numeracy and Mathematics 3, DPP, DJPE, and other courses. Students, here you will meet some interesting, in this course you will meet some interesting mathematics. We wish you all the best in your studies. I have put together some useful ideas about 2019 examinations. It's actually for 2019. You need to be motivated and be on track with your study course and achieve the qualifications that you want. I just want to give you some instructions, examination instructions. There are a lot, but I've just taken out some that I want to remind you on. When you will be sitting for your examinations, the questions should be answered on the question papers. What do we mean? We mean you will get the question paper and then there will be some spaces to write your answers on. The mark allocation is a guideline for time needed to answer each question. So you will see those questions with 1 mark, with short questions. But you'll find some questions, for one question, it weighs 3 or 4 or 5 marks. There it means you need to spend some time because there I expect you to show your calculations. You need to write neatly and legibly. Your tutors will be sitting with a lot of papers to write. So you need to help us, meet us halfway. How? When you write neat and legibly, your work should be I should be able to read your numbers and letters that you'll be writing. Here I just want to emphasize again, use a neat handwriting. Number 4, you are free to use a calculator. That is straightforward. And you need to show all your calculations. In mathematics, sometimes you see it's 1 mark, but maybe half a mark for your calculations, half a mark for your answer. Always show your calculations. How did you get to this answer? Number 6, when you are entering the examination room, you are not allowed to have any unauthorized materials, notes, technical devices where you have saved some work, and these devices or notes and materials should not be in your possession. It's not allowed. In simple terms, you should not copy during the examination. Then, now what do I expect you to know while you are preparing for your April examination or your August examination, or while you are preparing for supplementary for those who will sit in November? You should know how to work with numbers. Actually, at the end of the day, mathematics is all about numbers. What do we mean here? You should know all the multiples in mathematics. The multiples of 2, the multiples of 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 12. What is 12 times 12? If you ask me that question, I will know immediately it's 144. So I also expect my students to know their multiples. Square numbers. I might not go in details with these presentations, but you can go through the past presentations. You will find some I have explained some of the topics in details which I will not be able to do today. But when we are talking about square numbers, and I've been explaining square numbers, let's use this sign for numbers. Square numbers, when I say 1 times 1, and in mathematics at your level, we say 1 squared. That is now 1 squared and the answer is 1. Because 1 times 1 is 1 is the same. You multiply a number. Square numbers means multiply a number by itself. 2, you multiply by 2. You multiply the number by itself, and then 2 squared is 4. 3 squared means 3 times 3, and we write it in mathematics 3 squared, which is 9. 4 squared is 4 times 4, and so on up to 10. 10 squared is 100. 4 squared is 16. I know my square numbers, so I expect my students to as well know their square numbers. Then we are talking about prime numbers. Prime numbers are those numbers that can be divided by 1 and itself. Prime number only have got 2 divisors. 2 divisors, it means it can be divided by only 2 numbers. The examples that I gave you are multiple square prime numbers. We have got 2, we have got 3, we have got 5, we've got 7, we've got 11. Why are these numbers called prime numbers? They can only be divided by 2 numbers. Which ones? For example, 2. What are the 2 divisors? 2 can be divided by 1 and 2 itself. 3 can only be divided by 1 and 3 itself. 5 can only be divided by 1 and 5 itself. Can you see? That's why they are called prime numbers. They can only be divided by 1 and that number itself. So those are the prime numbers. Then we come to cube numbers. Cube numbers are almost like square numbers. Cube numbers. I said we will just use this sign for numbers. Cube numbers, 1 times 1 times 1. You multiply it how many times? 3 times. We take that 1, multiply by itself 3 times. The answer is 1. 2 you multiply that number by itself 3 times. 2 multiplied by itself 3 times. The answer is 8. Can you see? With square numbers, we only multiply the number by itself 2 times. But with cube numbers, we multiply the number by itself 3 times. If we continue 3 times 3 times 3, you multiply 3 by itself how many times? 3 times. And the answer will be 27. I don't need to grab a calculator in order to know this. As a mathematics student doing your diploma, you should know these types of numbers. Then we also have got even numbers. Here I don't need to write. Even numbers are numbers that can be divided by 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and so on and so on. Those are even numbers. And odd numbers is the opposite of even numbers. Odd numbers cannot be divided by 2 without a remainder. For example, 3. 3 cannot be divided by 2 without a remainder. There will be a remainder of 1. 5 is not even. 7 is not even. But even numbers are those that can be divided by 2. But here, odd numbers are those that cannot. We are talking about odd numbers that cannot be divided by 2 without a reminders. We continue. One of the subtopics in numeracy and mathematics is sequences, whereby you are given numbers and you fill in the missing numbers. What are you expected? You are expected to know the rule. Okay, sequences. For a sequence, you should know the rule. What do we mean when we say you should know the rule? Very important. The first example we are given here, yes, the first example we are given here is 1, 4. Sequence is a line of numbers. It's a line of numbers. Then they say fill in the next 3 numbers. Good. Now you have to think, what happened? What happened to 1 in order to get a 4? First we were having a 1. What did they do to 1 in order to get a 4? I can say we have added a 3. Good. What if we add 3 to 4? We will get a 7. So I can already see that the rule says we add, every time we add a 3. We have been adding 3. Now I add a 3 again here to get 10. What will I do to get my answer? I just have to add 3 to get 13. On 13 I add 3 to get 16. On 16 I add 3 to get 19. So when I come, I just tick, 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 which is just very important. Now, I will only do the first 2 because of time. The next example is 2, -1, -4, -7. And they want us to do what? They want us to write the next 3 numbers. Now I have to think of a rule first. The rule says, what did they do to 2 in order to get -1? Then I try I try to think, I try to write, I tried a lot of rules, but then the rule that I can think of is the -3. What do we mean here? I quickly want to check. 2 minus 3, my answer will be -1. I want to try if I can -3 from -1. Will my answer be -4? Okay, let's try. We were at -1, -1 and -3, because we are subtracting 3, my answer will be -4. Yes, you can press it on your calculator. Some of us don't know how to use calculators, but you are free to use a calculator. So every time we have just been subtracting 3, the rule says subtract 3 to get the next number. The other ones you will do it when you are preparing for the examinations. And we also have got a lot of these examples in your study guide. Let's go to the next slide, which is about simple interest. Simple interest, whenever you buy, whether you are buying a house or a car, the bank like adding on the interest for helping you to buy or come back and pay more amount of money and so on. Now the story here says an amount of 5,000 is invested for 3 years at the rate of 4% simple interest. Now we know already we are calculating simple interest. Simple interest, we have got a formula. Interest is equals to PRT divided by 100. If you look in your study guide. And then what does this mean? This means if you want to calculate simple interest, you have to take the principal, P for principal, the amount you are given, multiply by rate. As you are reading the story, there will be a rate, and multiply by the time. Everything divided by 100. That is just a formula how to calculate simple interest. Now let's read the story again. An amount of 5,000, that 5,000 will be our principal. Principal is the amount of money that you will want to save. Our principal is 5,000. What? An amount of 5,000 is invested for 3 years. 3 years is the time. The time will be 3 years. The rate, they say at the rate of 4%. At the rate of 4%. So we have got all the numbers that we need to calculate this simple interest. Interest is equals to 5,000, which is our principal, multiply by 4, multiply by 3, divide everything by 100. Then when you press on your calculator, you will get the answer. When you press on your calculator, you will get what? You will get the answer of how much calculate the amount of interest earned, of what interest will you earn when you invest this amount, you take this amount to the bank, you want to leave it for 3 years without touching it, but the bank, when you come and collect, or when you come back after 3 years, you want interest, simple interest for 4% on top of your money. Now they say calculate the amount of interest that you will be given by the bank. This, which you will get here when you press on your calculator, will be your simple interest. That is A. But there is part B question on that story. Now in B, calculate the total amount of money at the end of the investment. What do they mean? They mean now 3 years is over. After 3 years, you go to the bank, you tell them the story, you remind them if they forget, I brought 3 years earlier, I brought my 5,000 here, and we agreed that you will give it to me, give back my money after 3 years at the rate, adding the rate of 4%. Now they are asking, how much money will the bank give you back? Because they won't give you 5,000 back. They will have to add the interest. So we calculate that. Is it Namibian dollars? Yes. 5,000 that you gave to the bank, you add the interest that you calculated there, then you will get the amount of money that the bank will give you. Neat. Even the way I'm writing, everybody can see my handwriting, and that is how I expect you to write your examinations. Let's go to the next slide. Wonderful. High purchase. High purchase. What is high purchase? High purchase in mathematics, I want to give you a simple examples. When most of us goes to furniture shops, there are sofas, there are fridge, there are TVs, are in the thousands of dollars, and we can't afford. But those shops, the furniture shops, have got a way of selling to people. You pay deposit, and you keep on coming back every month to pay some amount. That method is called high purchase. You are buying those furnitures on high purchase. Now we understand what is high purchase. What is the story that is given to us? A new set of chairs. So there was a lady or a man went to the shop, and they saw a new set of chairs that cost 17,500. The set is available on high purchase. In that furniture shop, they told the lady, yes, you can buy this one on high purchase. You give us a deposit, and you come back every month and pay for this. But we will give you this set of chair to take home today. We know that stories already. So the story, again, a new set of chairs costs 17,500. The set is available on high purchase by paying a deposit of 15%. 15% of what? Of that amount. The set is costing 17,500. Wonderful. That is the price. And then they say, if you want this set, you will pay a deposit of 15%. 15% deposit, which will be followed by 25 months installments. From there, when you pay this deposit, they expect you to come back and pay 620 Namibian dollar each month. Each month, you come back and you pay your account, because you open the account now, of 620. Now, the question comes in A. Calculate the amount paid as a deposit. What is the deposit? 15%. The percentage is always out of 100. 15% of what? Of the total amount of the price, which is 17,500. Then you press on your calculator and you get the answer. What are you calculating? What you will get here will be the deposit. Deposit that you will be paying to that. In B, find the total high purchase price. After those 24 months now, how much will you be paying for this? What will be the total? Because it will change. It won't be this 17,500 anymore. So you take now that deposit. Don't forget, this is our deposit that you will pay on that day when you will be given that new set of chairs. B, how will we calculate now the total price? We take 620 that you will pay every month, multiply by 24 months, then you get your answer. On that answer, we will take now this answer that you will get on your calculator, then you add the deposit. Remember, the first day you have given the shop a deposit. Now you will get the high purchase price. That will be the amount that they want you to find. Okay, all the amount that you have paid for that new set of chairs. That one is very easy. Actually, mathematics, I have to tell you, mathematics is an easy module. We just need to concentrate and study very hard. The next slide is about rounding off. Oh, this one is very easy, but still you will find during the assignments and during the examinations, people are struggling with this simple mathematics that we were taught in grade 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably because some years back, but you are expected to know this. Round off the following numbers to the nearest 10. That is now the first question. Okay, number 1, we are given 245 to be rounded off to the nearest 10. What you need to know where the units are. Where are the tens? Where are the hundreds? Where are the thousands? In mathematics, we say this is the units, the last number now, the tens, and then the thousand, the hundreds, pardon me. Here is the hundred, the tens, the units. If there's another number this side, we are now going to the thousands, but we don't have any number. I rewrite that, but they want us to the nearest tens, very important. What do they want us to do? 245. Which number is on the place value of tens? 4 is on the place value of tens. That is the number that we are concentrating on. This number should change or remain the same. This number needs to change or remain the same. How do we know when to change and when it should remain the same? We are guided by the rules. Mathematics is all about the rules, students. We have to look at the number next to it. If the number next to it is 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, no change. Okay? But if the number on the right-hand side of our concentration is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there we have to change. Where? Changing how? Changing where? Changing going up to the next number. If it's 4, it becomes 5. If it's 5, it becomes 6. If it's 6, it becomes 7. 7 becomes 8. 8 becomes 9. I hope we are together. Now, what will be our answer here? Now we say we are rounding off to the nearest 10, and the number on the place value of 10 is 4. We have to look on our right-hand side on the number next to it. Is it under the numbers that means no change or change? 5 is part of change. So, should we change 5? No, we are changing the 4 that is on the place value of 10. So, 250. This number that tells us to change, it becomes a 0. So, 4, because the neighbor is among the numbers that says change, 4 have to change to become 5. 4 will never change to become 6. It changes to the next number. I will give you another example, because usually we understand when we get more example. We are given 6,858. They want what? They want us to round it off to the nearest tens. Which number is on the place value of tens? Is it 8? No, because 8 is on the place value of units. Is it 5? Yes, it's 5, because 5 is on the place value of tens. First of all, you should know the place value of tens. So, 5 will either stay the same or it will change. How will we know? By looking at the number next to it. Is the number next to it part of the no change numbers or part of the change? What does it tell us, the number next to 5? It tells us to change. So 5 will change. Our answer will be 6,860. The number they told us to change becomes a 0. And 5, because the neighbor is part of this number, 5 changed to 6. That is our answer. Now we are given some numbers to round off to the nearest 100. To the nearest, to the nearest 100. 100, remember, in mathematics. Now we have to look for a number that is on the place value of 100. We are given 4,245. Which number is on the place value of 100? Is it 5? No. Is it 5? No. Is it 4? Because 5 is on the place value of units. 4 is on the place value of 10. 2 is on the place value of 100. Yes, I'm happy because we want to round off to the nearest 100. Now, this 2 is, we concentrate on that 2 and see if it will change or remain the same. Only 2 things. The rule says that number either change or the number stays the same. How will we know that it needs to change or stays the same? We have to think of 1, 2, 3, 4 says no change. But 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 says change. That is the rule. Okay. Now, 2. Should 2 change or not? We don't know yet. We have to look at the number next to it. The number next to it says it's 4. And 4 is part of no change, which means 2 will not change. So my answer will be 4,200. All the numbers on the right hand side of the hundreds becomes 0, 0. Okay, then B, good. We are given 6,858. 6,858. And then we say 8 is on the, this 8 is on the place value of 100. Remember, we are rounding off to the nearest 100. We have to look at the number next to it. The number next to it says change, which means 8, which is on the place value of 100, will change to 9. So the number next to it, our answer will be 6,900. All the numbers on the right-hand side of that 8 becomes 0, 0. Now we are starting to understand. It's becoming very easy. As I said, mathematics is easy. Now they want us to round off to the nearest 1,000. The rule says what? Look for the number that is on the place value of 1,000. Only one example. The number that you are given, 4,245. Which number is in the place value of 1,000? Because our concentration is on round off to the nearest 1,000. This 4 is on the place value of 1,000. Now we have to look at the number next to it. The number next to it says remain the same, no change. So my answer will be 4,000. All the other numbers on the right hand side become 0, 0. Number, not number 2, but it have to be number 3. Have to 3 Roman 2. You have to do it yourself. Good. We continue. There's also another topic in mathematics called factorization of algebraic expressions. Some people, if they see numbers mixed with letters, then they become confused. Don't get confused. It's easy mathematics, just like any other mathematics that I've been explaining. The rule of factorization means take out the common factor. What is the common factor now? Examples. Here we are given 2a plus 6. What is the common factor there? Common factor is a number that can divide into 2a, and it can also divide into 6. Which number? The number that can divide into a, it can also divide into 6. Which number is that one? It's 2 itself. 2 can divide into itself. 2 can also divide into 6. Good. So the rule says what? Take out is written there in blue. Take out the common factor. Here the common factor is 2. Then you open the brackets. Okay? 2 divided into 2 one time. 1a. We just write a. In mathematics, you are not allowed to write this one. Okay? And then we put the sign as it is. 2 divide into, this 2 now, our common factor, divide into 6 3 times. Then you close off. Now some people are saying, how will I know if I'm correct or not? Then I say, if you quickly want to see that what you are doing is true and correct, you multiply out the brackets. 2 times a is 2a. 2 times 3 is 6. The sign is 6. I rewrite again. 2 times a is 2a. 2 times 3, the sign is as it is 6. If you look, what you are having here is exactly the same as what you were given. I just want to check. This is not a math. You cannot do this in the examination. It's just that you want to quickly check sometimes in mathematics if what you are doing is true and correct and sweet. Because whatever we do in mathematics is sweet. Okay. Let's go take another example. I just named this A. Another example that you are given, and there's self-explanatory here. Now we are given 3a plus 6y. The rule says take out the common factor. What is the common factor? The numbers that can divide into 3a and in 6y at the same time. That number I can think of in mathematics is 3. So 3 will be a number that can goes into 3, that can divide into 3, and it can also divide into 6. So that is my common factor. 3, I take it out. Don't mind this line. I just wanted to show you where 3, and I open the brackets. 3 divided into 3 one time. So we don't write 1 in algebra when we are factorizing, because it doesn't represent anything. We are only left with a here. A comes down. 3 divided into 6. 3 divided into 6. 2 times the y come down. If you look at the numbers or the terms that are inside the brackets, there's no other number that can divide into those terms, which means you have factorized, you have simplified. If you look at the numbers in our first examples, a and 3, I can't think of a number that can divide into those two numbers, which means you have factorized. That is one way to show you that you have factorized. Now, people really struggle with this other example, which is fs plus qr. People, when it comes to mathematics, they just want to work with numbers. Fr minus qs. When they see letters, they get a bit confused. But I'm telling you now, it's part of mathematics. Letters in algebra, letters should be part of mathematics as well. Algebra is a topic that deals with letters, alphabetical letters and numbers, mixed. Now, let's look at this. If I look, did I write them correctly as they are given? Fs, Q, okay, they are the same. Now, I can see F is appearing here, F is also appearing here, which means we are collecting like terms. Then Q is appearing here, and Q is also appearing there. I have to write the one that are having common factors. I bring them together. Fs have to be followed by F, R. I just brought this one closer to the one that looks, they all have got F in them. Q, R, minus Q, S. I'm just collecting like terms. That is the first step. There's a mark for that, just collecting, bringing together the ones that have got common factor. Now we can see the rule of factorization means take out a common factor. The common factor here is F and F. I have to take them out and put them where? Outside the brackets. The next step, F, I open the brackets here. We are F and F will cancel each other. Some of the books explain like that, or they multiply each other, or they divide each other away. Minus, the sign comes down as it is. F and F cancel each other, or they divide each other away, and then we are only left with R. When you look at S and R inside the brackets, they don't have any common factor. This sign comes down. Which one is the common factor in QR and QS? Q is our common factor. What do we do with factorization? We say we take Q out and we open brackets. Q divided into QR, Q and Q divide each other away. We are only left with R. And then Q, this Q outside, divide into QS. The sign comes down. Q and Q divide each other away. We are only remaining with S. Then, if we look at this sum, this step, this type of mathematics accounts for more marks. The rule says take out the common factors that are outside the brackets. The common factor, which is F, plus Q, which ones? The ones that are outside the brackets, which are common factors, this one and this one, and put them in one bracket. We are coming to the answer now. And then, if you look at SR or RS, they are just the same letter. R is here, R is here, S is here, S is here. Which means we put in another bracket, S minus R, or R minus S is just the same. Then that is your answer. Okay, continue. Factorize the following. Now I gave you those three sums to do yourself. Wonderful. You contact, in this mathematics, we contact a grade 10 textbook, grade 8 textbook, grade 9 textbook. Which textbooks? Any textbooks of grade 8, 9, and 10. Plus our wonderful IOL study guide. So I gave you some of these numbers to factorize as you are listening to this presentation. You just pause and try and do this one. Then we also have got a topic called linear equations. Again, from my experience with these modules, a lot of students struggle with these linear equations. I just put some explanations there. What is meant by linear equations? A linear equation is an algebraic equation. It's a statement that has two parts with an equals to sign between them. Two parts how? You will find in in linear equations, you will have some numbers on the left-hand side, an equals to sign, and other numbers on the right-hand side. This one is called an equation because we calculate at the end of the day to see if this side will balance with this side. That one is called an equation. In simple terms, that's what they are explaining there, giving the definition of a linear equation. An equation consists of unknown numbers, which we call variables. Variables are letters now. We just completed, or I just show you how to factorize. Those letters are called variables, especially when it's together with a number. Okay, that we mostly call X or Y. Sometimes don't worry if in the examination we name them A, B, or C. Okay, for example, we understand the statement X plus 5 is equals to 12 as a certain number. This means, what does it mean? It means a certain number that we don't know. On a certain number that we don't know, we add 5, our answer will be 12. That is what it means in simple English. And that is what the slide is showing. Now, how do we solve these equations? First of all, I can either ask you to solve the linear equations with or without brackets. I can give you a linear equation with brackets. I can give you a linear equation without brackets to solve. Or I can ask you to solve linear equations that contains fractions, like the one you see there in number 7. Or I can ask you to solve word problems by translating them into linear equations. I give you a story. Now you have to come up with your own linear equations from that story and you solve it. Very interesting. Let's do only three examples. I want to choose number Roman 1 because we are already having it. X plus 2 is equals to 12. Remember, in the equation we have got the left-hand side and the right-hand side, always with an equals to sign in the middle. Now, we always want to leave the variables or the unknowns on the left-hand side. Let me just write, because it's very important for you to know that the equation always have got the left-hand side and the right-hand side with an equals to sign in the middle. Okay, now this is our left-hand side, this is our right-hand side. Now, we have got ways to calculate in order to get more marks. Because if you ask me, immediately I will tell you, this x is supposed to be 7, but you have to show your calculations. What are the calculations? We leave the unknown on the left-hand side. Equals to sign should be always under each other for neat work. 12, this 5 is a number. Positive 5 have to cross the border, cross the equals to sign, and go to the other side. And in mathematics, the rule says when you change this number to go to the other whole numbers, normal numbers, it needs to change a sign. It is now positive. When it comes to this side, it should become negative 5. It's just another mathematic rule. X is equal to 12 minus 5 is 7. The 7 that I told you without calculating is the one that we got here. 3 marks. But if you just write x is equal to 7 because you thought so, or you have been doing using some sticks and writing some sticks and calculating, you only get 1 mark and you lose 2 marks. I said we will only do, I want to take the one with brackets. Okay, with 2 brackets. This one, which is 7. Inside the brackets we are having 5x minus 2, close the bracket, 6. 6x inside the brackets minus 1. What do we do in mathematics? If you go in your study guide, you have to take the number outside the brackets and multiply with all the numbers inside the brackets. Again, this side on the right-hand side as well, take the number outside the brackets and multiply with the number inside, with all the numbers inside the brackets. Good. 7 times 5 is 35x. 7 times 5x, remember, 5 is together with x, is 35x. Minus, we found it there already, 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. 6 times 6 times 6 is 36x. 6 times 6x minus 6 times 1 is 6. All the numbers with the x, with the letters, to the left-hand side. We are having, don't forget, left-hand side and our right-hand side. Left-hand side and the right-hand side. All the numbers with the letters, bring them to the left-hand side. 35x is already there. Now this is a positive number. When you bring it to this side, it becomes a negative number, minus 36x. Or you bring the other numbers on the other side, equals to negative 6 plus 14. This 14, when you will take it to the other side where the whole numbers are, it becomes a positive. It was negative, now it becomes a positive. This, if you press on your calculators, we will get negative x is equals to positive 8. Yes, negative 6 and positive 14, if you press them on your calculator, you will get 8. But we don't have, this is a problem now, and we don't have negative letters on earth. Negative x. It's the first time I'm hearing this, and it's also not allowed in mathematics. How do we get rid of this negative? We divide both sides by negative 1. This one will become positive x. Because we want all our letters should be positive. Is equals to negative 8 if you press on your calculator. The one with the These examples are really in your, I just want to show you the example with the fraction 3 over 4y is equals to 6. The problem is the 4. We want to get rid of a fraction 4, which is dividing. You multiply this side by 4 and this side by 4. You will see when you do that, this 4 and this 4 will divide each other away. 4 goes in here once, go into itself 1. We are only remaining with 3y that side, because 1 times 3 is 3. 1 doesn't change anything. 6 times 4 is 24. From there, we have to get rid of 3. How? By dividing. Divide both sides by 3. 3 and 3 cancel each other, or 3 goes into itself 1, in another one 1. Now we remain with y is equals to 8. How did I get 8? 3 divided into 24, or 24 divided by 3. The answer will be 8. Okay, let's go. There is also a topic on ratio, rates, and proportion. Divide 400 in the ratio of 2 to 3. Those dots we say 2. 3 to 2. 3 to 2. Okay, so remember when you are dividing this 400, you have to add the ratios together. Okay, you are given 400, you are dividing it into the ratio of 3 to 2. The first part you say 3 over 5. Where did I get this 5? I added my ratio together. This 3 is this one. But to get the denominator, you have to add the ratio together. Multiply by our 400. When you calculate, you will get the answer here. And to represent this 2, you say 2 over 5. Again, where did I get this 5? I added my ratios together, multiply by the 400 given, and then you get your answer and you calculate. Okay, the same with C, the same with B, and the same with D. Okay, I also gave you some formula to calculate the area of a square, of a rectangle, of a triangle, of a parallelogram, and how to calculate the area of a circle, how to calculate the area of a trapezium. And I gave you some that you can check, good examples also from your study guide and from the grade 10 textbook. I gave you those ones to try by yourself. The formulas are already given. There's also one on geometry. You need to go through these slides and then find angle. These are the angles that you have to find. The examples are in your study guide. Angle C, angle D, E, and F you have to find. If you get stuck, I'm just a phone call away. Pythagoras theorem, I also explain there. How do we calculate, how come we are having that formula of Pythagoras theorem. Okay, the graphs, I gave you an example of a graph and some questions there that you can answer. Straight line graph, I really wanted to do some examples with this, but your study guide will really guide you on this, and if you get stuck, I don't mind. Just call me and I will explain. But that is the formula that we use for a straight line graph. How? We use it how? To fill in the table, the missing numbers on the table, like the one you are seeing on your slides, and then we draw a straight line graph. That line of the graph have to be straight. That's why we are having this name called straight line graph. And you point, you should also know how to, I give you some points, the numbers, and you just plot the points on that Cartesian plane. Another Cartesian plane, I give you the points, you should be able to plot them. If you get stuck, you don't know, you call your friend or you call your tutor. There is also, in these examinations, whether during April, August or November, supplementary, there will be 1 or 2 questions on bearing. I also just gave you some summaries there, some notes, detailed notes, to understand what do we mean when you are talking about bearings. Bearing continue, and I gave you some examples how to read them off. bearings, more bearings, and I just advise you to check some good examples in your study guide. There will be some questions on trigonometry, which is also part of your curriculum, and it's in your study guide. And in grade 10, especially grade 10 textbook, any grade 10 textbook will be able to explain to you trigonometry, more notes. The last slides or PowerPoint presentation slides, there I just gave you summaries on those topics. Trigonometry also, have got some formula. You can see the formulas there. And then you think of your SOHCAHTOA as per your study guide. Transformation, here I either give you enlargement or translation. I think you only have got those two, even though we've got a lot of transformation types. You are only required to know enlargement or translation or reflection, the mirror image. This is the end of this presentation. We wish you all the best in your studies. Study very hard. You shouldn't take any chance, because we don't want people repeating modules. You need to complete your diploma and continue with other things in life. On that note, I wish you well.